Ancestor Connector, a return to the ones who walk with you. Most people think of ancestors as history, something behind them, something distant, something sealed in time. But ancestral connection has never been about the past. It's about continuity. It's about the threads that never broke. It's about the unseen hands that shaped your path long before you took your first breath and still shape it now. Your ancestors are not memories. They are movement. They are presence. They are the quiet guidance that rises in you when your spirit becomes still enough to hear what was always meant for you. Ancestor energy is not a seance. It is not a summoning. It is not a performance. It is a relationship, one that deepens when you stop reaching outward and begin listening inward. If you've ever felt guided without knowing why, if you've ever felt protected in a moment you couldn't explain, if you've ever felt a presence that wasn't frightening but familiar, like recognition without memory, you've already felt your ancestors. They've been walking with you in every moment you thought you were walking alone. I'm Kaththea. Welcome to Ascended Spirit Amplifiers. If you're ready to reconnect with the lineage that walks beside you, the wisdom that lives within you, and the guidance that has never once left your side, settle in. Let's begin. Why I created Ancestor Connector Blend. I didn't create this melt because I wanted to contact anything. I created it because I wanted to remember. There came a moment in my healing where I realized that the strength I was drawing from wasn't just mine. The clarity I was stepping into wasn't new. It was inherited. The protection I felt wasn't imagined. It was ancestral. It was the quiet recognition that the wisdom rising in me didn't begin with me. It was carried. It was passed. It was placed in my spirit long before I knew how to name it. I began to understand that the path I was walking wasn't only mine. It was the continuation of a story that started long before me, a story I was never meant to walk alone. This melt was born from that realization, that ancestral connection isn't about calling something in, it's about opening the channel that has always been there, waiting for you to turn toward it. I made this blend for myself, and for anyone who feels the pull of their lineage, for anyone who senses that their healing is part of a larger tapestry woven by hands they've never seen but have always felt, for anyone who knows they are guided, even when they can't see by whom, for anyone who is ready to walk with their ancestors instead of walking alone. This isn't about summoning. It's about remembering. It's about honoring. It's about reconnecting to the wisdom that has always been yours. The wisdom that rises the moment you trust your own inner command and allow your lineage to meet you in your present moment. The Ancestor Connector Ingredient Lineage. Every ingredient in this blend carries a lineage of its own, a history of remembrance, protection, grounding, and spiritual clarity across cultures and timelines. This is part of their story. Beeswax, used across ancient Egypt, Africa, and Europe in sacred offerings, candle rites, and preservation rituals, beeswax represents continuity and transformation. It bridges the physical and spiritual, the work of the bees becoming light, warmth, and creation. Beeswax holds ancestral memory in its golden structure, reminding you that lineage is sustained through care, craft, and devotion. It is the foundation upon which intention takes form. Amethyst, used across ancient Egypt, Greece, Rome, and indigenous traditions, amethyst has long been a stone of spiritual clarity and higher communication. Priests, oracles, and healers used it to quiet the mind and open the intuitive channels. Amethyst doesn't call spirits. It clarifies your inner hearing so you can recognize the guidance already present. Black obsidian, one of the oldest spiritual tools on Earth, used by Aztecs, Mayans, Greeks, and countless indigenous cultures. Obsidian is the stone of truth-seeing, shadow clearing, and ancestral honesty. It doesn't protect you by blocking energy. It protects you by revealing what is yours and what is not. Pyrite, used by indigenous cultures in the Americas for divination and grounding, pyrite was polished into mirrors to see truth beyond illusion. It stabilizes your energy so ancestral messages can land without distortion. Pyrite strengthens your capacity to hold guidance. Petrified wood, a direct link to ancient Earth. Petrified wood is millions of years old, a literal bridge between timelines. Used in African, Indigenous American, and Asian traditions, it represents ancestral memory, grounding, and continuity. It reminds your spirit that you are part of a lineage that did not begin with you and will not end with you. Rosebuds, used across global traditions for love, devotion, and spiritual connection, roses softens the heart so ancestral guidance can be received without fear. It brings warmth, compassion, and emotional openness to the ancestral channel. Sage leaf, used in indigenous, Mediterranean, and Middle Eastern traditions for purification and clarity, sage clears stagnant energy and prepares the space for connection. It doesn't summon, it makes room. Purple globe gomphrena, used in Caribbean, South American, and Asian traditions for spiritual elevation and communication. Its vibrant purple energy supports intuition, clarity, and connection to higher realms. It represents the bridge between worlds. Frankincense, one of the oldest sacred resins used in temples, rituals, and ancestral offerings across Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. Frankincense elevates the spirit, clears the mind, and opens the channel of communication. Clary sage, used in European and Middle Eastern traditions for trance work, intuition, and spiritual clarity. Clary sage helps you hear the subtle, the whispers, the nudges, the ancestral echoes. Lotus, sacred across Egypt, India, China, and Southeast Asia, lotus represents spiritual awakening, remembrance, and the rising of ancient wisdom. It opens the crown and heart simultaneously, the perfect channel for ancestral connection. Why they work together. These ingredients don't just complement each other. They form a spiritual technology. Amethyst opens the intuitive channel. Obsidian clears interference. Pyrite stabilizes your energy. Petrified wood grounds you into lineage. Rose softens the heart. Sage clears the space. Gomphrena elevates the frequency. Frankincense lifts the spirit. Clary sage sharpens the inner hearing. Lotus opens the pathway between realms. Together, they create a field where ancestral connection becomes natural, not forced, not summoned, not dramatized, just remembered. The power of making your own ancestral tool. Across every culture, people created their own ancestral tools, not because they needed permission, and not because someone else told them how. They created them because the act of making something with their own hands opened a channel inside them. When you make your own ancestral tool, you're not following my steps. You're not recreating my process. You're not trying to match my experience. You're learning how to trust your own inner command. Your ancestors don't respond to perfection. They don't respond to performance. They don't respond to somebody else's ritual. They respond to you, your presence, your intention, your willingness to listen in your own way. This melt is not about doing it right. It's about creating a moment where your spirit becomes quiet enough for your lineage to meet you. When you place each stone, each botanical, each drop of oil, you're not building a tool, you're building a doorway. A doorway only you can open. A doorway only your ancestors can walk through. A doorway that doesn't require anyone else's guidance, because the guidance you need is already in your blood, your memory, and your spirit. This tool doesn't create the connection, you do. The tool simply amplifies the truth that has always been yours, that your ancestors know how to reach you, and you know how to hear them when you trust your own process, your own timing, your own way of remembering. The tool doesn't create the connection. It amplifies the one that already exists. Ancestor Connector Melt, the creation process. You will need the following to create your own Ancestor Connector wax melt. 12 ounces of beeswax pellets, 2 tablespoons of organic, unrefined virgin coconut oil, 80 drops of frankincense essential oil, 60 drops clary sage essential oil, and 120 drops of lotus essential oil. 1 teaspoon each amethyst, black obsidian, pyrite, and petrified wood in small pieces, 24 rosebuds, 12 to 18 sage leaves, and 24 purple globe gumphrenas. This recipe makes 6 large melts that can be cut into quarters for extended use. Everything I use is linked in the description box, and I do make a small commission if you buy through the links. Step 1. Prepare your workspace, where connection begins. Set up your wax warmer or hot plate in a well-ventilated area. Lay out your pot, thermometer, molds, stones, and botanicals. Pre-measure your essential oils so the process flows with intention. This is where ancestral connection begins, not in the wax, but in your presence. The ancestral current doesn't open through effort, it opens through reverence. Step 2. Melt the beeswax, the foundation of continuity. Add 12 ounces of beeswax to your pot and melt it over low to medium heat, around 145 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Beeswax melts slowly on purpose. It teaches you to move with patience, not urgency, the same way ancestral wisdom moves. As it liquefies, let the golden wax mirror the continuity of your lineage, the steady thread that connects you to those who walked before you. Keep the temperature steady, never above 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Too much heat burns the wax and dulls the oils. Connection doesn't come from rushing. It comes from presence. Step 3. Add coconut oil, softening the lineage. Once the wax reaches 160 degrees Fahrenheit, remove it from the heat and add 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. This softens the final melt and helps it release from the mold. It's the reminder that lineage isn't rigid. It is strong, yes, but also soft, warm, and willing to meet you. Step 4. Infuse the essential oils, breath of the ancestors. Let the wax cool to 135 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, the temperature where essential oils stay potent and alive. Then add 80 drops of frankincense for elevation, sanctity, spiritual clarity, 60 drops of clary sage for intuitive hearing inner sight, and 120 drops of lotus essential oil, remembrance, awakening, and ancestral openness. Let the scent rise like an offering, a breath that says, I am listening, I am remembering, I am ready to walk with those who walk with me. This is where the melt shifts from ingredients to intention. Step 5. Prepare the molds. Build the ancestral altar. Before pouring, prepare each mold like a tiny altar. Into each cavity, add 1 teaspoon each amethyst for clarity and spiritual hearing, black obsidian to call in truth and ancestral honesty, pyrite for grounding and capacity, petrified wood to represent lineage and continuity, 4 rosebuds expressing devotion and heart opening, 1 to 2 sage leaves for clearing and purification, and 4 purple globe gomphrenas, amplifying elevation and connection. These botanicals and stones don't just decorate. They anchor the melt in remembrance, clarity, and ancestral presence. This is where the melt becomes an ancestral connection tool, not just because of what it looks like, but because of the energies you're placing into it. Step 6. Pour the wax, the first layer of connection. Pour a thin layer of wax into each mold. This helps the botanicals settle and prevents floating. Let it thicken slightly, not fully set, just enough to hold. This first layer is like the first moment of connection. Subtle, quiet, but strong enough to support what comes next. Step 7. Add the remaining wax. Let the lineage rise. Once the first layer grips the ingredients, pour the remaining wax slowly over the top, like ancestral presence filling a space that forgot it was supported. Pour with intention, knowing this tool is being built to amplify your remembrance, not replace it. This is where the melt becomes whole, where the ingredients become a vessel, where your intention becomes form. Step 8. Let them set. Do not rush the connection. Allow the melts to cool naturally. No freezer, no fridge, no rushing. Ancestral connection opens in stillness, patience, and trust. Let the melts honor that. Once fully cool, remove them from the molds and store them in an airtight container. They're ready for your next moment of choosing remembrance, clarity, and connection. Before we begin, I want to remind you of something essential, something that matters even more in ancestral work. Your connection to your ancestors is personal. It has its own rhythm, its own language, its own way of opening. No one can tell you what their presence should feel like in your spirit. No one can tell you how your lineage should meet you. No one can tell you the shape your remembering should take. Some people feel warmth. Some feel a shift in the room. Some feel a quiet knowing. Some feel nothing at all. And that is still a connection. You are not here to summon anything. You are here to remember. Your ancestors do not need ritual perfection. They do not need performance. They do not need you to follow anyone else's path. They respond to your inner command, the part of you that knows how to listen, how to open, how to trust what rises in your own present moment. Take what resonates. Leave what does not. Let your body guide you. Let your spirit guide you. Let your lineage guide you. This meditation doesn't have to be vivid to be real. It doesn't have to be emotional to be powerful. It doesn't have to be dramatic to be meaningful. It only has to be yours. This is your remembering, your connection, your return to the ones who walk with you. Ancestor Connector, the full meditation. Take a slow breath in and let your body settle. Not into effort, not into expectation, but into presence. Feel the weight of your body where it rests. Feel the air moving in and out of your lungs. Feel the way your energy begins to soften the moment you stop trying to manage it. You are not here to reach outward. You are here to open inward. With your next inhale, let your energy widen gently. Not reaching, not searching, just softening the edges of your field. With your exhale, release the belief that you have ever walked alone. Bring your awareness to the space behind your heart, the place where memory, intuition, and spirit meet. Not to change anything, just to notice. Say quietly within yourself, I am listening. I am remembering. I am guided. Let those words land in your energy, not your mind. Now allow yourself to sense, not a figure, not a face, but a presence behind you, a warmth, a steadiness, a familiarity that doesn't need to be explained and doesn't need to be feared. This is the lineage that walks with you. Feel it gather behind you like a quiet support. A hand on your back, a knowing in your chest. You don't have to see anything. You don't have to feel anything specific. You don't have to force an experience. Your ancestors meet you in the way your spirit is ready to receive. With your next breath, let this presence move closer. Not imposing, not overwhelming, just arriving. Let it settle behind you the way a memory settles into truth. Now let this presence touch your past, softening the places where you learned to brace, where you carried burdens that were never yours. Let it touch your present, opening the space where guidance becomes possible, where clarity can land without resistance. Let it touch your future, clearing the path that is already unfolding for you, the path your lineage has been preparing long before you knew to ask. You are not separate from your ancestors. You are not disconnected. You are not forgotten. You are the continuation of a story that did not begin with you and will not end with you. Take one more slow breath in. And as you exhale, let gratitude rise. Not forced, not performed. Just a quiet acknowledgement of the ones who walk with you. If it feels natural, bring a hand to your heart and let that gratitude settle into your body in its own way. When you're ready, bring your awareness back to the room, not leaving the connection, but carrying it with you. This is your remembering, your connection, your return to the ones who walk beside you. Thanks for watching. If something in this video resonated with you, honoring that with a like helps this work find the people who are meant to see it. And I'd love to hear your reflections in the comments. It's always beautiful to see how these messages land for different people. And by all means, share it with anyone you think might benefit. If you want to keep exploring with me, make sure you're subscribed. I share new videos every week, and each one builds on this journey in its own way. Please never forget, my intent is your ascent. See you next time.